Good morning, Brian Brown here. I want to come to you today and talk to you about obtaining a clear perspective. If you live in a metropolitan area, chances are there are many times that you can't see the splendor of the night sky. You look up at the night sky and it's kind of drowned out by all the city lights. Experts, scientists call this the light noise. So it's kind of an oxymoron, a paradox, if you will, that light creates noise, but it does. It's just a frequency, and everything resonates on a certain frequency. And certain frequencies drowned out other frequencies. And in this particular case, the city lights actually drowned out the lights of the stars above. So, I grew up in the rural southern United States, and in the rural South, the night skies were just magnificent. You could see everything. I had a telescope when I was a kid, and just absolutely loved gazing up at the stars. But as an adult, when I hit graduate school and so on and so forth, I was in a metropolitan area, and I have been ever since, and haven't been able to enjoy those night skies as much. So when I do go back home, sometimes I'll just excuse myself from a family gathering and go outside at night and just stare up at the sky, because I miss being able to see with that kind of perspective and clarity. So many times we live in a fast-paced, hectic state that we lose perspective. We lose clarity in our view of things, like our goals, our vision, our dreams, our time management. You kind of fill in the blank. It's whatever you want to fill that blank with. But light, noise, those things that just drowned out everything that's going on in our life, in our head, our thoughts, it just bleeds away, and we can't see it with clarity or perspective. Some people have a different perspective in their life. They seem to have a little bit more clarity because they seem to have found a way to work around that light noise. Now, one of the ways I think that we can find a way to work around that noise in our life is this, and I'm going to give you an example. A lot of times people come to a psychologist, a therapist, a psychiatrist, and they're asking for advice on how to work on a problem. The problem with that is that they want to focus on the problem, and a lot of unexperienced therapists will actually have that person focus 100% on that problem. That is absolutely the exact opposite of what you should be doing. You should spend most of your time talking to that person about their strengths, and get to know their strengths. Help them get to know their strengths. And then what we want to do is we want to magnify those strengths. We want to do everything in our power, in our day-to-day routine, in our day-to-day life, the task that we do. We want to set ourselves up for success in magnifying those things that we do best, magnifying our strengths. And then for the problem that they have in their life, we want to actually coach that person how to manage the problem, not focus on the problem, but just manage it. Now, how does that translate to somebody that's thinking about becoming an entrepreneur, is already an entrepreneur but might be stuck, is an entrepreneur that's looking to reskill, looking to do something different, is a high-end six-figure professional that's looking to do something different because they don't have enough time, they don't have enough money, they don't have enough freedom, they feel like they've sold their soul to the company store, so to speak. How do you overcome that? Well, this applies in the same way. Find out what your strengths are. Get a sheet of paper. Write down your strengths. There are plenty of free strengths inventories out there online. Just type a Google search for strength inventory, And you'll be able to find plenty of those, and it'll be able to start pulling out your strengths. In fact, I would recommend that you take several of those, because each one of them is a little bit different, and they're going to pull out strengths in different areas, and you're going to be able to find your strengths. Then you're going to be able to find your weaknesses, because it's going to give you a list of your weaknesses as well. It'll say you need to work on this, or you need to be aware that this is occurring in you. And you may have never thought about that before. Or you may have an epiphany moment and say, oh, yeah, I knew that. So the bottom line is understand your strengths and weaknesses. And then what I want you to do is I really want you to focus 100% of your effort on magnifying your strengths. Put 100% of you, 200% of you into your strengths. And your weaknesses, what I want you to do is I want you to acknowledge that they're there, but I don't want you to give them strength. If we talk about our weaknesses all the time, we give them strength, we give them voice, we give them power, and we don't need to do that. That's self-defeating. We need to talk about our strengths. See, the difference between confidence and cockiness is the difference between the fact that you made a statement based on knowing that you know your strengths versus making a statement about something where you have no idea what your strengths are. That's the cockiness. That's bragging for no reason. And if you understand who you are, if you understand your strengths, then when you make a statement and say, I am really good at XYZ, that's confidence. That's not false. In fact, some experts would say that comes from the Spirit. And when it comes from the Spirit is taking credit, not your ego. So that's the difference between those two. One is the Spirit's taking credit, the other, the ego, is taking credit. So bottom line is set yourself up for success, understand your strengths, understand your weaknesses, focus on your strengths, put 100% of your effort into that, making them better, making them stronger, and then your weaknesses, manage them, just manage them. You don't need to, it's not that hard. Get an accountability partner and say, hey, these are my strengths. I really want you to help me out in these areas, just focusing on these areas. These are the things I don't need to focus on. I need to be aware that they're there. And maybe even get an accountability partner whose strengths are your weaknesses. So if your weakness is time management, maybe you have an accountability partner that's a really good time manager. And maybe one of these days that accountability partner might want to work for you and help you out with some scheduling, some time management type issues. In my bricks and mortar businesses, that's exactly what I do. I hate accounting. I have to know it for business purposes, but I absolutely hate accounting. And I hire the right person in the right spot who actually loves accounting. They love the detail work. In fact, they really don't want to deal with customers at all. They would rather sit in an office in a cubicle with the door closed, listening to their music, working on numbers. And that's perfectly fine with me because that is not my personality profile. I love people. I love communicating. I love being around people. And I like taking care of the spirit side of things and the ego side of things. And so anyway, I hope this has been helpful. I really think it's, again, another one of those roadblocks that we can get into and we don't even realize that they're there. So focus on your strengths, magnify those strengths, and just manage your weaknesses. Hope you guys have a great day. I will see you guys tomorrow, and y'all have a good one. Bye.